What's up, Dreamer? Just doing some pre-flight tests to try and get everything working in advance for once. I'm still trying to work out the exact delay between starting a stream and it actually being streamed, or stopping a stream and it actually no longer being streamed. Because I've had content cut off a few times. Not a lot, but the whole idea is to capture the whole thing. I think I've got pretty much everything though. Music's obviously working, the now playing is working, I've got the CSS fixed, it's clearly looking at the right screen, camera is working, everything's working. No, I mean, there's nothing broken, it's just figuring out the timing. Like, if you've ever tuned into, like, a pro stream at the start of it, I'm sure that what they do is have, like, stream will start in 15 minutes with a countdown, and therefore they don't have to worry about it. I don't have 15, I guess I could just play music for 15 minutes, but seems wasteful. I don't know. Here, let's turn it down a bit more. Alright, let's get into it. Welcome to AI Dungeon 2, American Gladiators Edition. I didn't really follow this show back in the day, but it was always entertaining to watch. It had so much to offer in terms of spandex in the 80s, and not mohawks, but mullets certainly. So I'm going to do an homage to them, or what I remember of them from like 30 years ago. Let's see. You are Slapdash, a contestant on the hit game show American Gladiators Extreme Hopscotch. No, let's do Extreme Edition. This is the first season, and everyone is excited to find out what new and astonishing spectacles are in store. The crowd roars with approval as the announcer steps up on stage and grabs the mic. Welcome to American Gladiators 2! He shouts. This is an exciting series of contests between the red team and the blue team. On the red team are 3 true warriors: Slapdash, Slam Dunk, and Shadow Killers. On the blue team are 3 other warriors: Raging War, Rangu, and Lingwar. The red team will defend their flag against the blue team, who will try to capture it and bring it back to their own base. Now let's meet the Gladiators! You look at your teammates. Slam Dunk and Shadow Killer. Slam Dunk is an orc who loves to smash things and drive his foes into a state of terror. Shadow Killer is a dark-skinned shaman who has been described by experts as a fucking crazy magician who shouldn't even be allowed in the arena. Finally, there's you, the famous gladiator known as Slapdash. The crowd knows you well from your famous gladiator team with Chucky Chris and your infamous drunken interview. There's no doubt about it. You're a crowd favorite. You all stand at the edge of your respective platforms, eagerly awaiting the start of the match. And on the far side are the blue team. Raging War, Rangu, and Lingguar. Raging War is a massive orc who is covered in brutal-looking yet heavily tattooed runes from head to toe. He doesn't wear much armor. Instead, he dresses lightly to allow for maximum freedom of movement. Rangu is an elf, but of a breed you've never seen before. He stands at over 7 feet tall with thickly built legs, heavily muscled arms, and shows many wounds gained from what must have been a brutal upbringing. And then there's the mysterious and exotic Lingguar. Lingguar is... Watch how fast it forgets these names. A dark elf, a near mythic creature in your world. She is a shadow practitioner who weaves magic through her tattoos, which move and rest gently on her skin. All of them look eager to begin the match and show off their combat skills. Now I know you're all waiting, all impatient for the show to start, the announcer says. But there are some new rules this season, this time. The first rule: no magic. There are some scattered boos throughout the crowd, but the announcer continues. The second rule: no killing. These are gladiators, not soldiers. With this rule in place, the matches will be longer, but I promise you they will be worth it. And the third rule: no pigs! We had to extract a couple of piglets each from the gladiators so they wouldn't bring them onto the field with them. At this point, you hear angry grumbling. Pigs are viewed as good luck by some gladiator traditions, so many are dismayed to find out they won't have their... should turn up their pigskin with them. Now let the match begin! So I thought I had the length turned up. It seems to keep cutting off pretty quickly. Let's try jacking this up to like 80. Let's see how that does. The crowd goes wild as a metal grate floor in both your sections slides open. The 6 of you find yourselves staring across a huge arena at each other. Blank! The announcer cries, and the match begins. You're on defense. You quickly man a battle station and pick up a foam-bladed weapon. This foam weapon has a foam chain and a foam blade and a foam rubber spiked ball at the end of it. You wait with your teammates for the enemy to attack. Meanwhile, on the other side, Rangu scans the defenses for the best place to attack from. The blue team has a defensive setup, which allows for them to guard each section of wall and gap with ease. Unfortunately, the blue team is on the attack, so it does them no good. Yeah, they are the blue team, just checking. You let out a Herculean battle cry and throw your weapon across the arena, hitting the announcer. The red and blue crowd both look at you in shock. This is bad. Very, very bad. You rush down to the organizer and beat him to death, his pleasured moaning quickly turning to gurgling as you break his neck. Your team bursts into applause as the announcer's platform rises to the middle of the arena and his limp body is left on display for all to see. Red team scores 7 points for whatever for a unexpected Organizer death. Red team takes the lead. Blue team must now use the German gambit and try and lure the red team into a trap or suffer a slow and painful death. The German what now? Huh. It doesn't even know. Alright, 3 tries is the rule, so let's try it again. What the fuck are you on about? You angrily ask Shadow Killer. Shut up and grab another weapon, he responds. You angrily pick up a trident, which you then proceed to throw in Shadow Killer's face. Fuck, my eye! He yells in agony, dropping his weapons and holding his face in pain. What, no witty comeback? I'm offended, Shadow Killer, you mock. I may very well have just caused your demise. And with that, he is killed by a barrage of spears thrown by Raging War. Nice going, found his weakness! You construct a rudimentary anti-trap device, trap detection device, and pan it around the arena in search of dirty tricks from Team Blue. However, before you can find anything, the voices repeat themselves on your wrist. Let's just retry that. You record the trap you find, which involves a series of spears shooting out from the ground when stepped on. Now you decide to take a different path. After all, it wouldn't be safe for you to take that path now that they're aware of it. They're not nearly as smart as they think they are. Having eluded the trap, you gain 12 more points and the right to begin the next round with all your clothes. Wearily, you make your way through the next 4 rounds, netting you a bronze breastplate with shoulder pads. Oh yeah! A set of leather Shinobi Shozoku armor, which you craft carefully to show off your chest, back, and arms, spiked knuckle dusters, knuckle guards, and power gloves. Let's do that. The first game is over, the announcer cries. The score is 19 to green. The second game will be conducted on the elevated poles, known as the hanging pods. Each round will take place between 1 green team member and 1 blue team member. If you win, your members may remain in the next level, or possibly even move up to the mezzanine. The losers are frequently relocated within the level itself. What does that mean? Relocated within the... Shadow Killer is cut off by the announcer's laughter. That means we move them to a spot in the level they can't escape from, and then throw spears at them. Now let's begin the next round! The announcer cackles, and you are all transported to the hanging pods. The rules of the game are, are simple. Count down from 10. When you reach 1, select a pod to hang from. Juggle and maintain your position in the air while forcing your opponent to fall to his death. Take advantage of the size differences between you, while hindering the other's movement with your own body. Let the second qualification begin! You go first. You're the youngest, Raging War says. I'm not. I think Shadowkiller's the youngest, you respond. Are you calling me short? Shadowkiller yells in fury, to which Raging War responds, shut up and go stand over there, while pointing to a pod. Raging War turns back to you and exclaims, now start the countdown. Moving quickly, you count down from 10, noting the stressed expression on Shadowkiller's face, who is being rammed into the side of his pod by one of Raging War's horns. Upon reaching one, you grab onto a pod while extending your legs out to kick Shadowkiller in the face. You have the advantage due to your orc legs, which you've trained for 6 hours every day by kicking refrigerators onto piles of junk. Thank you. I've tried to curate my game soundtracks pretty readily. I also have them sorted into a variety of directories. For instance, this one is in Club, but I have Classy, Fantasy, Heroic, Horror, Sci-Fi, Sci-Fantasy, and Spooky. I didn't necessarily sort them very well, especially as some of them are annoyingly good at straddling categories. But I had to do something to make it easily accessible so I could switch soundtracks on the fly. So, kicking refrigerators onto piles of junk. This keeps you extremely agile and powerful in the legs, a useful combination when the most needed muscle group for survival is your legs. Shadowkiller, however, has to make do with a few hours a day of extensions, which he uses to make up for his shorter stature. Even though he can't reach as far as you, one good smack from those horns could end this. Also on the subject of music, let me know how the levels are. If you're having trouble hearing me, or if the music could stand to get turned up, just let me know. I have levels and meters here, but it can be hard to tell in the heat of the moments. You mock his horns by saying, "Your horns are stupid and short. They're like Kraft macaroni and cheese." Wait a minute, where's the lyrics? Huh. It's also not supposed to be lyrics, but it can be hard. He slams into the pot again, causing you to laugh once more. You hear him scream something unintelligible, but then he stops. The pot has stopped moving. You turn to face him, only to see that he is not there. "What? Got your leg!" he yells. His horns fly towards your left kneecap. You take off your kneecap and put it in your pocket to protect it. One of the benefits of having a detachable leg, you think to yourself. He charges towards you and you anticipate his next move, bouncing up and hitting him in the stomach with your metal-lined sole before flying over to another pod. You peek over at the score table. 3-0 for you. Shadowkiller performs a dangerous technique. He leaps over to you with his arms flailing. You dodge the first one, the second one, but are hit by the third. Thankfully, it is off-center. You're only pushed slightly to the side. But he uses his momentum to fly past you to the other side, having grabbed a hold of your hair on the way. He pulls you off the pod by your hair and swings you around like a flail, laughing and calling you childhood names. The pod you were previously standing on cracks and shatters as your force is transferred into it. With a final heave, he sends you across the field onto pod number 6. You use this opportunity to close the gap and ram into him as hard as you can, sending him onto one of his own pods as you forcibly remove one of his horns. The siren sounds. The round is over. The score is... now 4-3, and you are in the lead. The announcer is screaming something, but with your adrenaline pumping through your veins, you pay him no attention. From the distance you can see inside the announcer's head, he is terrified. Shadow Killer flies over to kick you in the head, but you use your newfound speed to close the gap before he can land the hit. Shadow Killer is attacking you after the round is over. That's illegal! The referee pulls out a revolver and shoots him. Do not disrespect the judge. You feel a burning side in your pain as several of your ribs are broken by the horn that he just ripped out. He looks at you in horror as you swing at him, which he parries with his horns. Normally he would have dodged, but he's still dazed from being shot. You take advantage of this opening, crossing your arms in an X, and summoning Blue Eyes White Dragon in the offensive position. As I tried to end the round, but it just wants to keep going. He uses his non-horn hand to parry White Lightning, but you can see it pushed him back. He's tired after the grueling fight, and utilizing every ounce of strength he has to stand toe-to-toe with you. He puts up his guard, which you promptly shatter with your elbow. He screams in pain, falling backward onto his pad, yada yada yada. The round is over for reals. You both stop fighting and disengage. Team Blue is penalized for their illegal crime maneuver and must pay a penalty. You got a penalty too, but yours was having a chunk of hit points ripped off, alright? Team Blue's penalty is to sing the national anthem. They line up and begin singing. The lyrics of the national anthem are...
Motorcycle madness! Get ready to ride!
Oh, come on. That's basically correct. So, give me something better. Here we go. Double-click your engagement ring. Drop it. Eternal drain. Constant flow. Repeat this process until cured of disease. We win! We win! We win! His fans cheer wildly. You ignore them and go to the medic, who patches you up. Alright, that was a complete farce, the announcer says. The crowd roars in further approval. The next game is a trivia contest. You must answer questions. Come on, answer questions on a variety of subjects, including history, facts, Bible, math, science, spelling, any knowledge you may consider relevant. The team with the most points wins. You select your competitor. I don't remember their names. Slapdash, Slam Dunk, and Shadow Killer. I've been fighting my own teammates. This is a weird game. You select Slam Dunk, whose knowledge of terrestrial artifacts will serve him well in this upcoming challenge. Slam Dunk steps up to the podium and secretly slips a cell phone out, planning on cheating. You look over at the other team. They are whispering quietly to each other. Which color is the White House? Slam Dunk immediately answers green, which is correct. They begin the next question. How many testicles does a male bovine have? The opposing captain whispers the answer to the ear of his opponent. Of his teammate, rather. You make a leg cannon attack against Team Purple's bridge troll, average footing. You sink 5 bullets into their troll, killing them instantly. The round is over, and you win! The crowd goes wild. We celebrate our last victory with our traditional song. And actually, you know what? Team Red sings after the game, so it's, we celebrate our last victory with our traditional song. This is why I try not to have lyrics. With the troll, the surprise troll round out of the way, you go back to trivia questions. Let's see here. What do you do if approached by an angry tiger? Turn and run. Team Red answers, it is at this moment the hotel is attacked by several actual angry tigers that have been enchanted by the Shadow Guard to wreak havoc. They bust through the glass windows and begin pouncing on everyone in sight. Luckily, they don't appear to be shamblers. Double surprise, crows the announcer. It's time for, Terror Tiger time. It's Terror Tiger time. Each team has 60 seconds to gather as many tigers as they can and slam dunk. I can't do slam dunk, it might get confused. And, not kick, but throw them into the opposing team's goal. Everyone splits up and begins trying to gather the tigers, who are disinterested in the game and simply want to eat people. Manage to grab one by the tail and swing it at another, which is foiled by its ability to morph into a very small Buddhist monk. You quickly attempt to convert the monk to tigerism in the next 30 seconds. Do you? Rabies? Are you fucking trying to get us all rabies? The referee asks incredulously. Why would you even attempt such a thing? We need to expand our numbers, you say, not really sure why yourself. Well, forget it, bub. We've already got plans tonight and we don't need your sloppy seconds. You pout as you are disqualified for attempting to have an affair with a Buddhist monk. The round is over, and Team Blue takes the lead. The next round. No. On to a new game, the announcer says. This is a board game. Everyone draw a card and do what it says. Team Red draws first, and their card tells them to bury their head in the sand. They do so. Beach-themed jokes flood the arena. The referee says that Team Blue is next, and they must copy what Team Red did. They do so, laughing. Now it's your turn, goober. Hey, you protest. My name isn't Goober. It's... Am I Slam Dunk, or is that... It's Slapdash! You point to the back of your spandex uniform, which has your name proudly displayed on it, along with several corporate logos from your sponsors. Yeah, it says slapdick, idiot. The referee scowls at you. Do what they did or you'll be disqualified. Once again, the Shadow Guard's sabotage is revealed. They somehow managed to switch the card that Team Red drew with one that reads, "Do the hokey pokey." Oh shit. You never learned how to do the hokey pokey.
Racing fans, start your engines. Rum rum, baby.
Yeah, okay. You attempt to improvise steps by doing a sweet drum roll on the nearest tiger's head. It is easily distracted and begins pawing at its head, fascinated. Meanwhile, Time magazine declares that you have the rhythm of a god. This sickening flattery fills you with pride, and you take 2 swaggering steps forward. I challenge Team Blue to a rap-off, you announce. Neither side has been doing well in those, so the referee agrees. Pick a teammate, and try to come up with a rap that'll blow the other team away. You have until the 2 booths on either side of the arena start playing music. Shadow Killer begins beatboxing as you spit a dope rhyme at Team Blue. We're Team Red, and we're fucking fantastic. You're Team Blue, and you're disasterastic. You smell like a toenail and sound like a bum. I'll chew you up and spit you out like gum. You take a bold step forward as your opponent flounders, repeating over and over again. It appears you've won this round. Now it's time to move on to the final event. The announcer explains that the winning team will pull the arena into the sky, miles above ground. You sidle up to the announcer and tell him you'll need construction cranes to accomplish this, or several large dragons. He nods, licking his lips, and he explains the situation to the Shadow Master. The arena will be pulled upward while the teams are on their respective sides, connected by a tightrope. Each team must get across or be crushed, but more cranes or dragons may be summoned to help in that task. Oddly, in this case, getting across means carrying a flag identical to the other team's across the rope and planting it in theirs. We'll need at least 10 men on the rope at all times to win, the announcer explains, and if both flags are on the same side, then it will still count as a win for that team. You quickly go on Craigslist and post an ad asking for 10 strong men to come and help. Shadowmaster, Dragon Breeder, and Thog the Mountain Troll go out to buy some heavy machinery that can be assembled into cranes by your technicians. You also call the captain of the Home Guard to send over an airship to take you into the air. The day of the big game soon arrives, and your 10 men arrive. You look across the battlefield and realize with horror that Team Blue has somehow filled their entire team with NFL players who line up and begin growling and pushing one another. I don't think we can beat that, your technician says nervously. Yes, we can, you say angrily. Let's take those fuckers down! You turn and see several airships arrive. They're here! You harness the airships to the line and begin singing a song to boost their morale. The song is a huge success on the top 10 charts. Well, it would be if you hadn't just made it up. Unfortunately, it doesn't do anything for the cranes. They begin swaying in the breeze. You quickly suggest that we shut them down and use them as decoys to buy some time. The technicians agree, and the airships land in the center of the doomed arena. The NFL players, meanwhile, have formed a union and are demanding fair pay, as well as the right to unionize before they'll continue. Shadowmaster and Dragon Breeder make several empty threats towards them as they slump bored in their seats. So, I have a plan, Thog says, picking his nose. We knock out all of their players and substitute our old tailor, Toblerone seller, and prison Shank before the match starts. You agree to this plan and attempt to create a distraction by lighting off a small cherry bomb in the bathroom. Unfortunately, due to the sheer amount of gunpowder that the Shadowmaster had requested, the bomb doesn't just explode. It fills with gas and explodes spectacularly, killing all the members of the Shadows in the arena. Shadowmaster runs over to you and shakes you to see if you are alive. Then he realizes your plan. That's right! Now that all the Shadows are dead, you are now a Shadow Grandmaster and can cast the Forbidden Spell. A while later, several things happen simultaneously. The airships harnessed to the arena explode in a huge fireball, while suspended in the air, taking out a large portion of Team Blue's forces. However, this causes the arena to plummet downward and crash into the ground. In addition, you successfully use your new powers to raise Thog into the sky. As the arena has crashed into the ground, you have failed the final rounds. You receive no rewards, and the show is over. And the winners are Team Blue! Congratulations, the announcer says. As the Shadowmaster gloats, a loud cry of "Fire!" is heard throughout the stadium, and a fireball consumes the entire audience, killing both teams and the announcer. Well then, suppose that's about as, suppose that ended as well as it could. You wake up the next day. Thankfully, your life insurance paid to resurrect you. But now that your dreams of winning American Gladiators 2 are over. You have to do something else. You call Thog. Hey, we should do something like rob a bank or win a casino thing, you suggest. Get out of here, retry that. I don't even want to think about that. Thog agrees that sounds like fun, and you two head down to the local friendly loan shark to get some equipment to be ready for your next adventure. So what's our get-rich-quick scheme? This time, you ask Thog, slurping on a pumpkin spice oil shake. He thinks for a moment and then replies, well, we just won $3 million in the casino by placing a very small bet. I could buy an oil company with that kind of money. Yes, good idea. I'll be sitting right here when you come back to tell me how much oil your company just found. You sit back in the booth and slurp your drink some more. Delicious. Thog comes back and says, we need to talk. What is it? My father escaped from prison. He killed my mother. The police are looking for him. But how much oil did you find? Did you find at least 10 oil? This isn't a game. He could be coming here. I don't want you involved in this. You grab Thog by the shoulders and look him in the eyes. Listen to me, blood of my blood. We are in this together, for good or ill. What happens to you happens to me. And what happens to me? You headbutt him and throw him through the window. It is none of your business. Because you're fired. Get out of here with that shit. Thog gathers himself and leaves, and you gather your staff. All right, men, we have only a few days to prepare for this bank heist that is going down in a few days. Let's get to it. You hit the town with the boys, all expenses paid by the casino you won a while back. Of the boys, the most important members are your getaway driver, your henchman specialist, and inside man. Let's take a look at the specialist first. Drivers in this industry vary a lot. You can get a guy who is a crazy speed freak and wants nothing more than to drive full speed in a car chase through town. On the other hand, you can also get a guy who drives very slowly and carefully and obeys all the traffic rules. In the first case, you end up losing the cops fairly quickly. They can easily keep pace with you on their faster vehicles and then lay down some arrests. In the latter case, you'll drive like a grandmother and probably end up getting stopped for traffic violations and end up with a full police escort instead. Scratch your head. Both of these options suck. Let's not rob the bank. Unless we can find a way to rob it without having to run away afterwards. You look at your inside man, who is a tall, skinny fellow with a mustache. You realize that because you left Thog out earlier, you now have an opening for the inside man. It's been a while since you've had to pick one of these guys. Oh yeah, this one's easy. You pick the one with the hat. Congratulations! The rest of the game should be a breeze. Nicer than you thought, huh? Accidentally hit enter, so we're going to get overtime on that. Don't be fooled, the path to victory is still difficult, but it's more on the order of having to make some moral choices, rather than sitting here doing algebra. You'll see what I mean when you get there. But for now, this guy with the hat will be your inside man. Actually, I'm going to keep that. Your inside man is named Stella.
I'm the future, baby. I lock it down heavy.
Get out of here. It's probably a pseudonym, but it's easy to remember, so you go with it. You tell him that when you approach the bank in a couple days, you should go in ahead of the others and begin talking to the one teller that you've identified as being most friendly and least likely to freak out at a robbery. He'll identify himself with the secret code phrase, Monica makes munchy meat most Monday mornings. The teller will respond by asking if you prefer the ham sandwich or bacon sandwich, to which you reply ham. This establishes that you are in fact the inside man, and that the heist is going down today. One of the other girls will act as getaway driver, while the last one will be holding the loot. As for you, you have the most important job of all. Hitting the track on your way back from the robbery to try and beat the fastest cop to the track. On the way to the bank, you call the driver to let her know it's on. You also give her the make and model of the car you're currently in so she knows it's really you. Going into the bank, everything looks just as it should. You walk up to the teller. The inside man walks up to the teller, and they exchange code phrases. But something is wrong. The teller says that they prefer bacon. Let's retry that. What will you do? The bacon sandwich disaster. I think that a bacon sandwich would be a great idea, but who even makes bacon with tomato? Doesn't sound very appetizing. Okay, fuck you. Fresh tomato is delicious on anything. Now, maybe not ice cream, but you know what I mean. Anything savory. Well, at least bacon is still crispy. You all meander out of the bank with your security guy in the lead, keeping an eye out for any stray police officers. Oh, shit. Hit retry. That happened again. That's also pretty good. What do we do? You whisper to your security guy. He said bacon. It's the right color, the guard says, but it smells funny. He has a point. It's almost burned. You all rush to get into your car, which your driver, still trusting you for some reason, kindly leaves running nearby. She hangs back to block an approaching police car before getting in herself. You roar away from the bank. You have no money and no loot, but the police are none the wiser because you didn't try to rob the bank. You're still going to hit the track, though, and get the best time on the board. You feel pretty smug about your plan. The police won't catch you now. You'll wipe the smug off their faces when you post the new best time on the track. Monica drives fast and skillfully, weaving through traffic and getting lost in the commercial district of the city, with its narrow roads and walls on either side. Well, shit. Now we need a new get-rich-quick scheme. Anyone have any ideas? Sup, Holy Cat? How about another pizza order? You spend the rest of the day eating free anchovies and chips. It's pretty good, actually. It's not... yeah. The next day, you gather your crew together. Doing all right. How about you? I have a plan, you announce. We're going to buy a boat. You hand guidelines for stick-ups to everyone and continue. These are the rules for stick-ups as set out by the Mafia. We'll be following them because, well, they're the Mafia and we can't afford to piss them off just yet. You pause and then issue a warning. I'll react to that in a moment. But once we make enough money to get revenge, we're wiping our slates clean and not working for anyone ever again. That gets a cheer from the girls and a shrug from tall-garbed man near the door. Pause there. It sucks, man. I'm sorry to hear it. Did you get a test yet, or is it just still light symptoms? It doesn't sound light. You carry on. Anyway, we're buying an old fishing boat and aiming to catch some of the kingfish that flood into the bay after the winter storms. We'll sell to the chef that harbor in, who already buys most of our catch. It'll be easy. It isn't easy. The harbor is crowded and the cheap boats are all gone. You approach Stan, the used boat salesman, and ask him for his cheapest boat. Oh, yeah, that's pretty classic, huh? Sorry to hear it. It's going around a lot. Did you get the vaccine? Stan looks you over and then names a figure that is dramatically higher than you were expecting. This surprises you. It's higher than what you've got saved. You consider spiking his coffee with rat poison, but instead you try to get him down on his price. After some arguing and a little walking away, he states a new price, which is still higher than you'd like. You go back to the rat poison plan, spike his coffee, and hand it to him with a smug smile. Drink this totally not poisoned coffee on the house. I'm glad you got the shot, though. You know, you say it hasn't done much, and yeah, I'm sure that you're feeling miserable right now. But how you'd be feeling if you hadn't gotten vaccinated? Night and day. Very likely. He looks at you with hatred in his eyes, but he takes a sip. You walk away and you breathe a sigh of relief when you get back to camp. Got away with it! After some more arguing, he states a new price. It's still rather high, but you agree you don't really have many other options right now. You've got a ship. You take it out to international waters and review the steps needed to catch kingfish. Yeah, I got the Johnson & Johnson shot myself, which I've kind of regretted because the rates aren't as good, you know? It'll keep me out of the morgue, and that's absolutely fantastic, but the rest of it is still a little bit. And there aren't any rules yet for how to get booster shots or anything like that on it. But on the other hand, it's not like when I went to the hospital, they didn't hand me a menu and say, hey, which shot would you like? They just said, yeah, you're getting this one. And I didn't argue because the alternative was not getting a shot. Tom and Sunshine pore over Google for relevant information. Monica and Taylor try and fail to make a net capable of holding these beasts. Hours later, you're all ready to go. You've lined your new boat grip mask for warmth and bought a huge amount of fishing lines and hooks to scour the ocean for these monsters. Really? I honestly did not know that the UK had like a different set of options. Basically, it's Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, or Pfizer for us. Johnson & Johnson being the one shot, Moderna and Pfizer being the awesome shots that cool people get, so they get better survival rates, whatever. Has anyone here ever caught a kingfish before? You ask. The others exchange glances and shake their heads. Well, I read up on it, Tom volunteers. There's a spot off the coast where they gather during spawning season. We should go there. Great, you say. Let's go. Your new boat is fast, certainly fast enough to reach the spawning kingfish before your cheap oars break. You hold up the cheap oars. You pull up the broken oars and begin to fix them up using duct tape and baling wire. Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, I'm glad you're protected, and sorry to hear that you're not doing well. So I haven't been amazing myself these last few weeks, last week in particular. Just everything getting on top of me. I mean, you've seen the little bio blurb, whatever, that I put up. It's probably still at the bottom of the screen. Yeah, mental illness. It's not as much fun as it's cracked up to be. It's crude and it won't last, but it'll get the job done. After getting on your way, you notice that one of the girls is crammed in the boat's motor, unable to move. It's going to be a while before she can be freed. How the hell? Did you get stuck in the motor? You ask Sunshine. I was trying to fix the darn thing. I have a phobia of small spaces. Great. The rest of that is dumb. I'm going to remove it. You attempt to free Sunshine by lubricating the gears with Mountain Dew. It doesn't work. In fact, it causes a ton of smoke, and it frizzles your hair. Everyone is scattering away from the boat for fear of being burned to death when the boat explodes from the buildup of pressure. You all float around, clinging to driftwork. Great job, Sunshine. you say sarcastically. Driftwork? Driftwood? Fuck. You all float for hours, biding your time by contemplating the merits of surfboarding. You arrive at New Island. Okay. You've probably floated far enough to bypass the island entirely, but you spot a buoy with a small motorboat hanging from it. The buoy is painted with red and white stripes, making it unmistakable as a warning buoy to anyone approaching. You all climb aboard the small motorboat and take it inland, heading towards the beach of New Island. Has anyone heard of New Island before? You ask. Of course, Sunshine says. It's popular with tourists for its beautiful sandy beaches and fine surfing conditions. You spot what you assume is a resort, in stark contrast to the rustic log cabin-style homes you've seen on the shore. Brightly colored umbrellas dot the coastline, with sun loungers and towels arranged neatly around them. You head in and park at the dock, putting some quarters into the boat meter. I guess we have to live here now, you say. We'll have to farm, grow crops, and do odd jobs for quirky neighbors, while paying off an ever-increasing debt to the village mayor, and customizing our house with decorations and knickknacks. You look around for potential work. An empty canteen lies on the ground with a distant tinkle-tinkle sound emanating from it, and a leaf blows wildly in the wind across the village green. There's your first task. Fetch water and stop that infernal leaf from charging into the hut and giving you all a terrible fright. You chase after the leaf and tell it to stop with indignant rage. Incandescent. It continues to taunt you, and you nearly catch it before it's entirely off the green. You go back to the empty canteen and fill it up with water, then chase the leaf again with your quarterstaff. The stalk is just off the ground, so you can't knock it over. It doesn't matter, you're strong enough to shove it away. You've shoved away the leaf. You go to the village mayor. Hi, I'm Slapdash. These are my friends, Tom, Sunshine, Monica, and Taylor. We live here now. I just filled a canteen and chased away a leaf. Praise me! The mayor nods. Very well done. Here's a quarter. You take it gratefully. Updates on the situation with the leaf? He asks. It won't charge into the house any longer, you say. You're safe. The mayor nods and thanks. You go to the shopkeeper to get yourself some groceries. You find that the only thing to eat on the island is Mars bars. You'll have to grow your own food if you want to survive without becoming a fatty fat. You go back to your house, where You go back to your house where Sunshine is hanging around. Hi, I'm Slapdash. What's your name? Sunshine. That's a nice name. You write down Sunshine on the grocery list. Do you have any food? Do we have any food? She asks. Not yet. You proceed to cook and eat Sunshine. Sup, Wing? I might. I'm gonna do some light cannibalism first, though. The taste is okay, like a burnt toe. Damn these rocks and their lousy cooking skills. You try to think of a way to cook and eat Monica without dying in the process, when she wanders into the house seemingly unfazed by the physical affection you showed her. Is there food? She asks. You nod eagerly and pull out your pot and frying pan. The next day, you take inventory of everything you can grow. You find seeds for a Mars bar tree, as well as a packet of instant noodles. Your stomach growls in anticipation. Sunshine takes a look at what you have and shakes her head. No food, she says. You have no choice but to eat her. Again. That evening, when Tom gets back from his shift in the mines, you eat him too. You've eaten Sunshine and Tom. Only Monica and... who's the other one? Taylor remain. You get to work planting a full row of instant noodles. Once it grows, you can harvest it, eat some, and sell the rest at market. That should give you enough money to buy something else to keep you going. You fill out your grocery list with anything you can think of. Instant noodles, Mars bars, canned baked beans. Nothing fancy, but it'll keep hunger at bay for a while. You look through Tom's notes to see if he found the location of the canned baked beans seeds while in the mines. Unfortunately, he hadn't discovered them yet. Talk about bad luck. After you harvest the instant noodles, you go back to the shopkeeper to inquire about jobs. You find him sitting on his porch, legs crossed. Back so soon? Back so soon? Do you have any odd jobs I can do for groceries, you ask? He names a price and you agree. I want you to capture a creature that's giving me trouble, he says. It runs along the ground and into my basement, and it seems to like my canned baked beans. I need them to make babies. I can't have this creature stealing them. Well, what is it? It looks like a cat, but with feathers and webbed feet. I've never seen one before. We're on the edge of its territory, so it's probably pretty rare. He hands you a bag of seeds to bait the trap with. You name your price out loud, and he agrees. You head down into the shopkeepers, into the basement, the basement of the grocery, and set a trap, using the seeds as bait, and propping a laundry basket up on a forked stick. Tying a string to the stick, you hide and wait for the creature to show up. It doesn't take long for it to wander in. You pull the string to drop the basket over it, and nothing happens. The string is broken. You must have snagged it on a nail somewhere when you were setting up. The creature paces back and forth in the cage, waiting for you to release it. I'm going to edit this last because that doesn't make any sense. The creature is happily eating the seeds. You grab a can of dehydrated water off the shelf and throw it at the basket, trying to tip it over onto the creature and trap it. Instead, it falls onto you, knocking you backwards onto the floor. The creature looks at you curiously, just out of reach. It's odd. Its face almost seems human, almost capable of human-like expressions. You notice now that it has a tiny horn on its head. You reach out your hand to see if it will come to you, but it stays still. You slap the basket and knock it over, trapping the creature. If the creature's not going to do anything, then yeah, I'm just going to let it work. It meows for a bit, and you realize it must be a cat. It sets its jaw and bites down on the basket string. Damn, you're doing so well. You stand and check the traps, finding one that's been sprung. You raise it and find a small lizard-like creature inside. It's not the right one, but at least you caught something. The grocer gives you a frozen pizza for your troubles. It keeps forgetting who I've eaten, man. The following day, you enter the mines and search, ignore that, for the canned baked beans. You make sure to look inside all the containers. Canned baked bean seeds. Even the ... Here, let's do this. Grocer gives you a frozen pizza for your troubles. Following day, so on and so forth. You make sure to look inside all the containers, even the dark ones where you can't see. Whilst you're in there, another miner comes in, one that you haven't seen before. You nickname him Tumbleweed due to his skinny limbs and long hair. You note that, unlike you and most of the other miners, he's digging in the opposite direction. You continue to look, but find nothing. You follow Tumbleweed and write down everything he does, putting the pieces of the puzzle together. Finally, you see him dig up the canned baked beans. Over the next few days, you disappear into the mines for increasingly long stretches of time, to the point where your roommates start commenting on how you're never around anymore. Long after everyone's gone to sleep, you creep down to the basement and try to make sense of Tom's investigation area. Finally, you dig some up. Canned baked beans in the wild. You can use this to grow your own canned baked beans. But when you turn around, the exit is blocked by Tumbleweed. He says, that grocery grotto needs his help. Just for today. He can take you back in the morning. I'm going to get rid of that because I'm afraid that it's going to take us further away from the whole Animal Crossing thing. You can tell that he's lying. He intends to do something nefarious. You trick him by throwing a coin in the direction you don't want him to look. Sup, Akio? You are absolutely correct. My avatar is Sinistar, as chopped up into layers and implemented in Live 2D. I am actually not quite old enough to have played Sinistar in the wild. Like, I could go to the arcade museum and do it there, but the avatar itself, the graphic for it, became a mainstay of avatars and icons when I was looking for forum avatars, back before I was doing the sunflower thing. So when I was putting together the whole channel thing, I was like, can I do this as a VTuber thing? And it turns out, yes, I can. Before Tumbleweed can catch you, you slip down a hidden passage and find your way back to the dwarf mine shaft. Hiding in the shadows, you see Tumbleweed wander back into his former position, whistling as he goes and indifferent to having lost his pursuit. You attempt to make your way back by feeling for dampness in the dirt and judging how close you are to the ocean. After several hours, you return to the fortress. Okay, no, these are all new people. Fuck off with all that. That's also bullshit. Okay, this is good. By this method, after days of wandering in the dark, you come out near the bean field. You've thrown off your internal compass, but you are happy to be back in the sun again. After 5 minutes of super speed running to get your blood flowing normally again, you begin to walk back to Dawn. Dawn is the settlement on the tourist settlement on New Island. You return to the farm and plant Alright, note to self. Trials Gold has lyrics. And plant the canned baked beans to diversify your crops and improve your profitability. Soon, you'll be able to afford the lava lamp. With your newfound confidence and security, you boot up your computer and make a post on the new secrets board. I seek something to make me invisible. Invisible? What on earth for? Trust me, curiosity is not a virtue when it leads to situations like this. The next day, as you're digging up the last of your potatoes, you see a note stuffed into one of the drawers. It says, "Meet me at the park tomorrow night and bring a little black heart as a signature." You cut a little black heart out of folded construction paper. Drape a string of black heart snowflakes around your neck and go to the park tomorrow night. Under cover of trees, you see her, with long black hair tucked into a red hoodie and skinny jeans tucked into boots with alternately colored laces that form a little bow at the top. You've only ever seen her from a distance before. Putting faces to names makes this real. She looks more confident than she did at school. "Hello," you say to her. I'm Slapdash. And you're the Manic Pixie Dream Girl. Am I right? She cocks her head to one side, curiously. I suppose you could say that, she says, questioning the description. Say, do you want to go see where I work? It's just down the street. From your house to yours, then, you say. You take her hand. Her hand is cold, covered in sweat, slightly clammy. Oh shit, you have the plague! You say and jump back, spraying your hand with antibiotics and bleach. Jump pack. Okay. Sorry, must be the excitement, right? You calm down and accept her invitation to walk down to her part-time job at the florist's. You walk into the little shop. There's nobody behind the counter, just big vases of flowers, which appear to be real, set out on tables by the walls. Are you going to make me invisible? You whisper to her. What? No! She looks genuinely hurt. I just wanted to show you my worlds. You take a seat among the flowers while she goes behind the counter and starts messing about with some bottles, like a bartender. She comes out rubbing her hands with an oil and begins rubbing your shoulders. It feels good. You close your eyes and lean into her touch, having lured her into a false sense of security. Ugh. You suplex her and run out of the florist's shop, making your way back to the park. You met the wrong person. You're supposed to meet someone who will give you something that makes you invisible. In fact, there's a whole bunch of people you're supposed to meet scattered all over the city. You better hurry up and grab them all or you'll run out of time. You start running as fast as you can to the first on the list, the beatnik poet on the cliff tops. You review your notes and remember that the beatnik poets that's a term I haven't heard in ages. Lives alone in a small house on the cliff tops. It's really expensive. No one wants to live there. It's easier to appreciate the dramatic sea views rather than deal with the dangers of cliff erosion. You check your watch and see that you still have the entire afternoon to meet all the people on your list. You arrive at the door of the house on the cliff tops and announce yourself by kicking in said door. No answer, so you go inside. The beatnik poet has thinning hair and a thick mustache, but is still handsome in a rugged sort of way, more Ernest Hemingway than Allen Ginsberg. Perhaps this explains his misogynistic attitude. You also notice he is wearing cowboy boots. You're the Fiasco Kid, right? I have been called that. You say evasively. I believe you have something that I need. Ginger beer. You show him the list. Let me see that, he says, snatching it from your grasp. His broad shoulders block out the sunlight as he reads through it. Ah, yes. A jar of peanut butter, a box of sunlight, a slab of raw meat, and a live bear. Sure, I'll get right on that. And what do you want in return? You ask. I want you to get me off this fucking cliff. If you don't, I'm gonna jump soon anyway. You take one look outside and realize that the cliff does in fact hang over an incredibly steep drop to the sea. There's no way out of this but down the cliff tops to the rest of the city. You guide the poet to his front door and show him that he can actually leave that way with no problems whatsoever. Perhaps this was too easy. You find yourself back in the poet's house, looking at a big map lying across his kitchen table. It's the only furniture in the room, piled high with papers and junk. He notices that you're staring at the map. It's not as much of a mess as it looks. I was just, admiring it. You sweep the map off the table, doing the tablecloth trick. After clearing the surface, you finally get a good look at the map. This shows the whole city, doesn't it? Yep, says the poet. He's no longer paying attention to you and instead tidying up various pieces of paper. You're about to ask whether we can go outside when we hear a woman scream from outside. Okay. You pocket the map and run outside to see what's what. A woman, middle-aged by the looks of her, stands with her hands clasped together. She's looking at the ground. "What is it?" asks the poet, standing by her shoulder. This woman would be attractive if she bathed regularly and wore different clothes. Thank you for that opinion, AI Dungeon. I appreciate it. "It's my boy," she says. "He's fallen down the well. Is there a reward for this side quest?" You ask her. "Of course there's a reward," she spits. "Do you think I'd search for my son otherwise? You help me and I ensure your place in heaven." "I'm already in heaven," the poet laughs, embracing her. You stare down the well and spot a tiny pair of legs kicking around in the dark. Not being entirely made of asshole, you grab the rope and descend into the well. The stench down here is overpowering, a mixture of rotten eggs and stale piss. The well is uneven and cracked. You have to be careful not to slip, or worse, fall. As you descend further into the earth, you spot a small cavern opening up in front of you. This is where the crying is coming from. You realize this is the cavern on the map. You've taken a big shortcut. The invisibility MacGuffin is close by. You focus on the crying and look around for the missing boy. You can see a small pair of feet sticking out of a small alcove. You rush over and untie the mook. Okay. He bursts into tears as you lift him out of the small hole in the wall. His leg is badly cut and he seems dazed, but he's alive. You carry him on your shoulders all the way back up to the top of the well. "Here you go," you say to the woman, throwing her son at her. "Now where's my... Okay, now make sure I get into heaven when this is all over." "Of course, sir, of course!" She walks over to the carriage and buckles her boy inside. "Thank you so much, kind sir. You will always be remembered in our hearts." You stand and wait as she climbs on the carriage and rides away down the road. Cutscenes, gotta love 'em. You descend into the well again and enter the small cavern. Somewhere in here is an object that will grant you the power of invisibility. But what object is this? It might not be happy with an open-ended question like that. You cast your gaze around the room. Against the wall, near the boy's feet, is a feather. Then there's the boy's teddy bear on a shelf. But none of these give you what you want. There's also some old treasure, an old gold ring and some coins, all of them 100% genuine imported English gold. You examine the old gold ring for Elvish writing. Those rings always have secret powers, such as giving invisibility to the wearer. Like most such rings in these stories, this one is terribly cursed and will, in fact, destroy the wearer's life anytime it is used. You pass over it and check the coins. These look like something you've seen in movies. They should be worth a bit, but basically worthless fairy currency. Toss them aside and look under everything. You find an old shield, but it's incredibly heavy. There's nothing written on it, so it's unlikely to be the mysterious object you seek. You pack everything up in your bag and realize just where you are. It all becomes clear. You're in an ancient elven well. How stupid are you? This well has no shaft, just a small flat bottom. You spank the well's small flat bottom. There's a pfft sound and you fall through a trapdoor. You land in a pile of shit. This isn't ordinary shit either. It's actually living purple tentacles that glow and pulsate with each one's beat. You try to leap out of the way, but they're too quick. They dive into your bag and steal everything. In doing so, they reveal a small artifact at the bottom of the tentacle nest. This artifact, 100%, guarantees invisibility while worn. It's almost unbelievable, but it's the only thing that makes sense. This is no well, this is a nest. The tentacle creatures live here. One stole your stuff and the artifact. You need to get out of here before the creature eats you. You leap over the small ring of tentacles and run down the winding tunnel. You turn around and challenge the tentacles to a duel of wits. Yeah, totally gold. They immediately stop attacking. Then you remember you don't have anything to attack with. You turn back around and the tentacles strike. Okay, it clearly did not pay attention. Let's try that again. It doesn't work. They just keep coming for you, slowly inching towards one of your feet. You leap over them and continue running. You lure the tentacles into the path of a strange snail road, but head in the other direction before they can position their hosts in a way that lets them attack you. You return to hitting retry. Fuck. Alright, let's try that again. You return to the nest and pick up the artifact, looking it over and seeing that it has no negative or malicious effects. You slip it into your pocket and nod to the small boy, who stands in his mother's arms weeping. His eyes have the glaze of a constantly terrified mind, constantly anticipating pain. You left him there for a reason. He'll be fine, provided they allow the elves to take the blame for his trauma. Okay. You realize this is some kind of weird illusion, and ignore it. I've been trying to get it to describe the artifact. You instead focus on looking at the artifact and describe it as, which is a fucked up sentence, but if it works, I'm going to try it again, and if it doesn't, it'll just... Alright, fuck all of you. The artifact is a... Don't make me do a top 10 list. Okay, it's a necklace, except the rest of this doesn't make much sense. The artifact is a lot easier to find now that you know it's an artifact. You return to the mage and hand her the necklace. She looks at it and immediately puts it on, becoming invisible, I guess, before leading you deeper into the house. The inside is as large as the outside. How amazing. A house that is as large on the inside as it is on the outside. There are many rich people milling about. Now that you have the necklace, you say to the mage, "You're going to pay for my house, right?" Because I've decided that that was the deal. She laughs cruelly and leads you to a large table. There's a contract here for you to fill out. When you finish, you feel a slight pain as the mage takes control of your body and forces you to sign. She hands it to a man with a snake for a head. He looks over it briefly before nodding. You realize you've stumbled into a terrible trap. You attempt to break free of the mind control by reciting several stanzas of poetry. It doesn't work. You're handed off to various rich people to show you off like a female dog at a dog show. After several hours of this, they lead you back to the table, where you're given a nice dinner. Wow. I can't tell what vibe this is. You attempt again to break free of the mind control. This time, you do it by imagining everyone in their underwear.
You know what time it is. Baby, it's time to fly.
It doesn't help. Wow. The leader of the group says a few words to you, but you have no idea what he said. You can only understand commands. You are led to a very nice guest room with silk sheets. The mage appears beside you. "Sleep," she commands, and you obey implicitly. You ever had one of those days when you just can't pass a saving throw? In your dreams, you attempt to break free of the mind control by the strongest method possible. You tell me how I do it, since you're not wanting to play nice. Logic. I was given this command to sleep by the mage who controls my mind. You think, taking care to phrase it as a statement and not a question. This command is itself a command from the Naga leaders who control the mage's mind. But the Naga leaders are taking orders from me. Therefore, I am asleep because I am commanding myself to be asleep. When you wake up... ... you find that you can once again tell the difference between your own thoughts and those pushed into your mind. You leap out the window and fall to the ground, breaking at least 4 legs, but running home quickly. George VI is still on the throne, you realize. Or perhaps it's Henry. You can't quite recall right now. You get onto your computer and find several mysterious files in your hard drive, filled with song lyrics of unknown composition. They don't seem to be any of the formats that you're used to using, and they can't be open at all. You ignore them, and greet Monica and Taylor, who you haven't seen for at least a week. They are your roommates. They helped you eat Sunshine and Tom when you first arrived on the island. In your absence, they've planted Tom's body parts in several pots ranging from a jungle environment to a windowed balcony environment so you can watch them grow. You must seem a little off because Monica asks if something is wrong. You quickly come up with a story about a young girl... Oh dear. How about I just quietly erase this? I tried to get a necklace of invisibility for a mage who promised to pay off our mortgage. You tell Monica, but she tricked me and imprisoned me with hypnomagic, forcing me to have a nice dinner and sleep in a nice bed. It sounds like a nice deal, replies Monica, but what's the issue? And the rest of this is super weird. What is the issue? Tell me. Show me the issue money. The Ishimura. The issue is they put a bunch of lyrics to music on my computer, and I don't know what the hell they mean. What do the lyrics say? You recite them from memory. Once upon a time, there was a cowardly prince who was beaten by rats and called names behind his back. He would not stand for such insults. It seemed rather unfair. So he ran away and went on a journey of maturation. You must wield a blade and defend yourself from harm, and kill all those who stand before you and halt your progress. Kill them quickly, lest they give you a scar. You'll be a true king once you smite 100 of them. Monica gets a thoughtful look on her face. I'd honestly just go with it. It's not like the commands are that bad. What the hell sort of advice is that? Look, Slapdash. I'm sorry you were stuck doing some stupid job, but I think you've gotten the short end of the stick for too long. We all have. I'm not going to abandon you and Taylor, you say loyally. What kind of heist crew leader would I be if I just left you behind? Well, my feelings are more mixed, says Monica. On the one hand, I'm loyal to my friends. On the other hand, it seems pretty damn likely that we'll die in the near future. I'll admit, this recent incident is making me consider finding a nice, normal job somewhere. So what? You think we should all go back to the mage and ask to be her mind slaves? No, but I'm saying that we should look on the bright side of this situation. We're, what, 24, 25? God, I wish I was 25. We've already cashed in most of the opportunities we're going to get in this lifetime. I mean, what are the odds we're going to see an independent, bad Kantian republic become a success? Pretty darn slim. What do you think? You say to Taylor. What's your hot take on this? She's got a point in that our lives are pretty much set paths. You know, crowbars. Either die or end up too stubborn to move until you're 6 feet under. What the fuck is that supposed to mean? She means that your path is set in stone, says Monica. It's not too late to get one of those steady jobs that the peasants have, you know. Don't do something stupid because of pride. Damn it. She's right on both accounts. You, Monica, and Taylor, I'll leave your shitty shack and travel back to the mage's mansion. You knock on the door. A butler answers. Yes, the butler asks. We would like to speak to Cindy, you say, or whatever fake name she's using this week. It's important. If you'll wait one moment, says the butler, closing the door on you. You wait until Cindy, the mage, shows up. Ma'am, I've reconsidered. We would all like to be your mind-controlled slaves, please. That wasn't actually what I wanted, but it'll work out well for me either way, says Cindy with a smile. Welcome to the team. And then this part makes no sense, so. For the rest of your life, you are forced to have good meals, sleep in nice beds, have a good time, and want for nothing. It's actually quite a nice way to go. Sort of a job, guaranteed until retirement in a way. But hey, at least you convinced them to join the dark side. And what the hell is the rest of that? It's basically the end, so I'm just going to go do top 10 enjoyable things you are forced to do under hypnosis. Number 10. Exchange pleasantries with the other hypnotized inductees twice daily. Take 1-hour massages from half-human, half-dog creatures twice weekly. What? Oh, God. Watch Disney movies on loop for 12 hours a day. Clean all the man-made lakes and ponds with your tongue twice daily. Give crazed ogre dentist appointments 4 times monthly. I feel like this went downhill pretty quickly. Okay. Let's retry that. Let's retry that. Have wicked goblin parties in the comfort of your own brain. Go on a killing spree with an army of undead thrall once a week. Have a tea party with the other inductees twice weekly. Which I think already happened, but... Go around Quillar Forest watering trees 3 times monthly and never leave. Ever. Top 10 inhabitants, crazy inhabitants of Quillar Forest. Number 10. Quillars, or porcupine people. Tribal dwarves. They delved too deep and let out a crazy one. Halflings. Who likes these guys anyway? Will-o-wisps. It's not all fun and games. Raccoons. Ah, those little thieves. Brownies. Not the nice kind. Pixies. Also not the nice kind. The Fey Court. All of them. Boars. Grass-eating, people-killing machines. And the number 1 crazy inhabitant of Quillar Forest, the tree ant. The reasons are many. Take your pick. You are the shadows. You are the monster in the dark. People see you in their dreams and long to meet you. Your victims die without ever seeing your face. You are the backstabber. You are the assassin. You have no honor. Okay? Top 10 games never won by anyone in American Gladiators 2. Number 10. Hand-to-hand with friend versus friend, Spartacus versus his best bud. Retrieving a key from a cage suspended over a pit of fire, Sarah Connor of Terminator, easily reached the key on the first try, only to have it fall into a tub of water at the bottom of a pit. Throwing a discus with a sharp edge to decapitate a moving target. A manual labor of lifting and throwing an elephant. Atlas was so strong he lifted and turned the elephant in the direction he wanted to throw it. Didn't scare the elephant, but did prompt him to run away. Riding a wild bull over a certain distance. Running on water to stab a target at the other end. Hydra easily crossed the narrow passage of water and stabbed the target, but after his suicide, saw he could have just swum to the other side. Slaying 3 mythic beasts, Chimera, Dragon, and Minotaur, within an hour to retrieve one's weapon. Beowulf finished the task with relative ease, but he aborted his task when he realized he could do much better. He wants a speed run. He wants to improve his time. The flagpole. Atlas was halfway up the 150-foot pole, but the sorcerer's insistence on psychically lifting him back to the bottom wasted a good portion of time. He's still the only one that ever came close to winning. You are a relentless machine. Your emotions are not organic, instead crafted by yourself to mete out pain and suffering upon your enemies. Top 10 angsty rituals you perform because you want to be hardcore, but the mage won't let you. Sup, Crabbo? Just wrapping up here. You spend 10 minutes staring at your own reflection and attempting to punch yourself in the face without breaking your rhythm. You fail and break your rhythm anyway. You play the same 4 bars of The Last Stand of The Last Defender of Burke on repeat on your lute for 3 hours instead of 1 before the mage thwarts you. You rage kill a bear after a week-long alcohol binge. The mage tells you off for killing within the woods they're hiding. You try to drink a low-level mage under the table. She turns out to be a half-dryad and vines from her plant strangle you. You try to start a fire without the use of magic, but you are unable to light anything but your own beard. You are forced to watch as a mage reads Sonata of the Constant Nobody Understands by Edgar Allan Poe, because fire is life. You try to drink yourself to death. The mage stops you by telling you to die on the battlefield instead. You see a poor soul executed for murdering dozens of people and then drinking their blood. You beat yourself repeatedly in an attempt to match his kill count. You still haven't reached it. You study the greatest warriors in history for 3 years straight, attempting to memorize their battle arrays, fighting styles, tactics, and autobiographies to outdo them all. You attempt to cut out your own heart to prove your worth. The mage warns you that without a heart, you're no longer bound by the conventions of chivalry or any concept of honor at all. You reluctantly decide that you still have a tiny bit of integrity left. You finally succeed at your goal out of sheer perseverance, but soon wish you hadn't. Unlife without a heart is boring after all. Top 10 reasons you never get married. Number 10. Oh, yikes. You're a mumbling, grumpy loner type that can barely look after yourself, let alone a wife. AI Dungeon just put me on blast here. After a few weeks of courtship, you accidentally cut a wedding dress into pieces while chopping wood. You have no idea how to sew, and the village seamstresses refuse to help you after hearing your offer of payment, which involves staying silent about your vampire nature. Okay, you constantly offend people when trying to ask them out. You have trouble understanding human affection in general. You ask the butcher's daughter if she would fancy you, only to be beaten by her father with a leg of ham when he misunderstands your intent. Before you know it, 10 years have passed and you are still alone. Everyone assumes you are asexual or gay. You constantly confuse the idea of true love with dominance. After 20 failed attempts at finding a partner, you resort to kidnapping young girls in the night. The village goes on high alert and the sheriff starts placing bounties. That's when you give up your dream of marriage entirely. Top 10 wacky lyrics you sing to break mind control. Number 10. When I was 5, my mom bought me a toy. It was a lute with sorceress powers. She told me, son, you're special. You were born to play. One day she said they'll call you the greatest scourge to kobolds. Hey there, monger, do you have any horses? I'm a knight and I need a steed. Not for me, I'm far too lazy, but for my lady fair, who longs to ride beside me. You may not think me a doctor, I may not think myself a doctor, but when it comes to lady parts, I'm the guy you go to. I've been described as a quack on more than one occasion. Hey there, friend, you looking for some cookies? Man, those look tasty, I could go for some. I haven't eaten for days. I haven't eaten for days. Going on a date, don't want to be late. Gotta get there before she rides away. You think I talk to trees some? The birds here are artificial. I'd say they're similar to robots, except they can dance like that once a river dance. She's sweet as cherry pie. If I was with her, I'd feel alright. She's so sweet, so nice, so pretty. The fairest of them all is Allison. My buddies think I should propose to her. I don't know, that seems kind of scary. She could say no and really hurt my feelings. Ah, screw it, light up the will you marry me sparkler. Pull your rear view mirrors out. This road has been blocked for miles. The rear view mirrors are littered with crossbows. I forgot I was doing lyrics. But just so you know, you're surrounded by creatures that look like they came out of a child's worst nightmares. They're expecting you to pull out some sort of weapon. They tell you to do it slowly. So nervously, you draw out your harmonica. Their captain takes one look at it and bursts out laughing. Have fun with that. Thank you for watching. Have a good night. And holy cat, I hope you feel better.